Pisces Ascendant, Pisces Rising, a forward look to March 2020. Full moon on March 10th, and I'm going to talk specifically about the locations in your chart that this happens, which means the locations in your life, and we're going to discover together with emotions, a light being lit, shining down, letting us know, oh my gosh, this is that. It gives us this great clarity because this is a time when we've got the Mercury running through the waters, going backwards, right? In its retrograde movement, going back into Aquarian energy. On the 9th/10th, we get to that window, March 10th to the 13th/14th of clarity. The full moon's light will be available at that time as well. And so it adds to the clarity even more. So we're going to dip into that deep right here, right now with all astrology. All right. Pisces Ascendant, Pisces Risings. This is in your first house, okay? So this is a whole lot of internal stuff about self. It's all about how you express yourself because it's the first house, so it's the book. You're the cover of the book, right? It's how you appear to folks. Folks look at you and they think, wow, that is one dreamy person. Their feet are not on the ground. They're not even here in the physical world. They're somewhere else altogether. When you have the Mercury retrograde occurring, right? That began February and it went on for 3 weeks. So by now, what we're talking about is March 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I just want to kind of go over the energies for the beginning of March because it's transformational stuff, actually. We've got a lot of really fascinating things. And for Pisces, I think you're going to like this because of the fact that Neptune is a big factor. We're going to have the sun sitting right on top of Neptune. Neptune's at 18 degrees. The sun's going to be transiting, going to sit right on top of that. And the sun moves fast. So a day later, the sun goes to 19 degrees. And when the sun gets to 19 degrees, it is an exact opposition with the full moon. So that exact opposition happens in your 7th house, right? If you've got the conjunction of the sun and the Neptune and all that Mercury energy going through your first house, the exact opposite in your chart is your 7th house. Full moon in the 7th house. Well, 7th house is the place where we have to compromise. It's the house of significant one-on-one relationship. It is also known as the house of the diplomat because of the ability to compromise. It's ruled by Venus. Venus loves that location because Venus likes to relate, likes to be with folks. However, you have Virgo there. Virgo is very practical, very logical, very rational, has a tendency to really focus on details, maybe get hung up on details at times. And a Virgo that is not at the highest expression could dwell on details, all right, which tends for people with a strong Virgo unaware energy to be nitpicky. You would know best. No one can tell you anything about you, all right, better than you. And your ability to look in the mirror and to be like, oh my God, that is me. Especially when something squares in your 7th house. Do you have any planets there? You may not have anything there. But if you have stuff there, every time an angle comes by or an angle gets set up at 90 degrees, which would be anything in other mutable placements. So the mutable signs, we've got Sagittarian energy, we've got the Gemini energy, those are our mutables. So if you've got Virgo energy in your 7th house, the squaring factors would be anything in Sagittarius and anything in Gemini. And typically, in a whole house system, that's your 4th house, so that's home, that's your inner emotions, that's your, this is being a mom, ideas about family, heritage, past, right? This is your foundational setup from childhood or past lives. And then the opposing energy would be, that's in Gemini, the opposing energy across from there, be your 10th house, which is your career, your job, because that's where your Sagittarian energy is at. And if you don't have anything there, then typically it just might be you feel annoyances when the transiting planets go through. But if you have natal planets there, you would definitely know, because at any time a transiting planet sits on that natal planet that is creating 90-degree square, it adds to the energy. So when we have added energy, it's a concentration, which then if it's a square, 90 degrees, which means stress and tension. If I lost you, just comment below. I have no problem commenting back. I'm always afraid that if I go too deep, I lose people. And then if I'm too general, people look at it like it's fluff. Tweaking that, and I'm trying to appease everybody without losing anyone. The sun is going to be on top of Neptune. Now, when the sun sits on top of Neptune, it can kind of go two ways. The recommendation at that time, now remember this is in your first house. The sun is our vitality and our strength and our energy, will give you some energy, right? Because you've had Neptune there, so it's not so great. So on this day, because it's the sun, it moves 1 degree a day. That day, your energy may feel lessened because the sun represents your vitality. It's your bright light. So when Neptune sits on top of the bright light, it tends, and the bright light represents your energy, What's Neptune's job, right? To dissolve energy. It kind of blurs it. It makes it fuzzy. It makes it unfocused. The sun has a tendency to be almost laser-like in a way. What Neptune does is it spreads it. It kind of just makes it a blanket. The 7th of March is Neptune and the sun hooking up. A couple days later, we have the full moon, which means the moon will be opposing the sun. And this opposition happens at 19 degrees. This period of time is significant because we also have Jupiter, who is sitting over there in Capricorn and sending a nice supportive beam. Capricorn sextiles all the Neptune, all the Piscean energy. So we've got the sun at like 17, 18, 19 degrees. The sun moves 1 degree a day. We've got Neptune sitting at 18 degrees. The full moon, which is opposite of Neptune, opposite of the sun, is going to happen at 19 degrees, 1937 to be exact. So Neptune is still a factor. It's still sitting here. Jupiter, however, is over there in Capricorn at 20 degrees roughly. Yep, at 20 degrees, sextiling. It's within an orb. It's a few degree orb. So that is support. And that support for Pisces ascendant, that support comes from your 11th house, which is friends, which could be internet, which could be social media. 11th house is also astrology. So maybe this is that help for you, okay? Neptune's not going anywhere for a long time. But the good news is that Neptune is moving forward. It's moving direct. It will stop. Once summer comes around, we get all those outer planets that begin their retrograde. But recognize this is in your first house. So there's all of this whole thing of who am I? And feeling very much like nobody else knows who I am, and feeling very much like people don't get me. And that would make sense because Pisces in the first house is the chameleon, meaning you can adapt to your environment. Whoever you're around, you can make yourself very much because you understand that we're all one. There's this innate thing there. If you have Taurus in the 3rd house, Taurus sextiles the Pisces, the Neptune energy. They both like things to be peaceful. So in that valuing piece, it's a Venus ruled placement, Venus in Pisces. Pisces is the higher octave of the Venusian energy in esoteric astrology. And so what we have is this understanding of unity, an understanding of values, understanding what is really actually important, as opposed to getting caught up in conversations and talks, about people, about things that are like gossipy or being in, having our focus accentuate on values, but material values as opposed to non-material values and self-values, recognizing the value that you have for yourself. And so there might be a rediscovery of all of that. And I shouldn't say might because it's for all of us. Actually, Uranus going through Taurus means we are all discovering things about ourselves that we didn't realize was there. And for many, it could be a rediscovery, but likely with Uranus there and shaking things up, it will somehow knock something loose and something will rise to the surface that was beyond our level of awareness before. Moon opposing Neptune. Moon is emotions. All right. And it's over there in your 7th house. Okay. So it's going to be about significant one-on-one relationships. But these relationships, they are based on very rational, tangible, 3D things. Things that you can actually see, things that you know how to put these together. I had somebody comment not too long ago about their 7th house, inability to stay married or constantly having marriages, or Virgo was in that 7th house. And Virgo knows how to see all the details, all the parts that make the whole. So what that means is you know what it takes to compromise. You know what it takes for a significant one-on-one relationship. So anyway, at this time, I don't know for whoever's listening if you guys have planets there, but if you do, just be aware of the degree of the moon, 1937. So if the moon touches on one of your planets in that 7th house, recognize the moon is our emotions. And directly opposite of the moon is Neptune. So there might be some delusional stuff going on. There's going to be likely something that occurs, and what you want to do is, even though it's a full moon in Virgo and it's shedding a light on something, what we're going to do is not make any judgments on that day. Because like I said, this is on the 10th, okay? And I know in my other videos, there was a time where we are getting clarity. And so this new moon or this full moon adds to that clarity, because at this time, Mercury is now going direct, and Mercury is still in the Aquarian energy. It's still in air and it's doing quite well. All I'm saying is wait till like the day after when the moon is no longer aspecting Neptune. Once the moon pulls away from Neptune, because Neptune being opposing the moon, it doesn't help. It's almost as though Neptune is the waters, okay? And if the moon is the emotions, then I don't want people to drown in emotional waters, okay? So what you want to do is wait a day. And the moon moves fast, the sun moves fast. So this intensity is really around this time period, but you can see it starting to gradually build starting March 7th. So I just wanted to do a quick video to give this energy, this additional energy added to the video I already gave for talking about clarity between the 10th and the 14th. Like if there were documents you had to sign or if there were decisions that had to be made, recognize the energy that happens on the full moon day. Like all full moons, right? Always recognize there's an extreme emotion. And what you want to be aware of mostly, though, is what kind of an emotions it pulls up within you. Okay? Because typically it might be an emotion that you didn't want to deal with, because we're talking about Neptune. And that's what Neptune is. It's about stuff that we hid. Okay? So there might be something that comes up that you didn't want to deal with, and it might come up now. All I'm saying is you're not making any decisions on that day. You're not taking any actions on that day about this that came up. You're going to wait, okay? And then you want to see, once you're out of that emotional state, are you able to then rationally, tangibly see, can you look at it logically, and do these things add up? All right? And this is important to realize that this is part of the ingredients in the mixture at this time. Okay? So astrology is complex, and I get it. I just figured this was just as important, if not more important, than the other information that I already gave out. So Pisces Ascendant, Pisces Rising, I hope this has put some light upon your path.